And now, the best and only wrestling podcast produced out of Council Bluffs, Iowa. This is Get Slammed with Crawdaddy, Healy, and the GSW champion, the Lumberjake.
Back again for another episode of Get Slammed. Crawdaddy here with Healy and the biggest swerve ball of the night. The Lumberjake is the new GSW champion.
Much like Jinder Mahal, don't hinder the Jinder. Don't wait on the Lumberjake.
Healy, your thoughts as former champion?
I lost because I used, what's the word I'm looking for?
Logic.
Common sense, thinking WWE wouldn't have the balls to go through with what they did. And that's what I lost on. So
You guys are missing the signs. Okay, I knew as soon as they did the whole thing with him stealing the belt, as soon as he got involved at the match at Payback, all this stuff, they were pushing him way too hard not to give him the belt. So I was right. Being champion proves that. I'm the greatest ever. The best champion
oh god,
in Get Slammed history. Let's get into it then.
So real quick, I just want to bring it back. Healy, you know, I had no idea that you had anything wrong with you, but I just want to say, how the hell are you going to get in my mind? How the hell are you going to play mind games with me when I know that you physically can't hurt me?
at the moment,
huh?
it's all future.
The thing is, though, his mind games are having me win the title. He distracted you, and you made bad picks, and now I'm champion.
No, if you think about it, I distracted him because he lost the championship, becoming the shortest ever holder.
And I only lost it on using common sense. One match. I used common sense, and I will say, I'm not going to tell you when I'm okay. You won't know when I get this problem fixed. If it is something that can be fixed, I will know within a few weeks or a month or 2 months. You'll never know.
I just want you guys to know that this looks a lot better on my shoulders.
Not
just
really.
letting you know. Just letting you know.
No,
I've
not
taken
really.
lots of pictures with it, so I'll just go back and look and reminisce.
Oh, so you're gonna cry and
Yeah.
look at like that
Like
Wolverine.
being broken up with.
You're gonna be on that Wolverine meme where he's holding the picture and his hands on it, but it's you with the belt.
Yes.
So, Backlash happened yesterday. I didn't get to watch most of it, but
I was with Sean that night. We were playing some Rock Band,
Oh, really?
and I was sitting out on the sidelines, and I was like looking through Twitter, and I was actually really invested in this match. Like, I'm going through the Twitter, like constantly refreshing Twitter, and like, what's happening? And then when it got announced, I literally just went, "It happened! It happened! Don't hinder the Jinder!" And I was freaking out. But yeah, sorry I interrupted you, Sean. What were your thoughts on Backlash? Well, the Jinder situation. Let's start with just the main event with the
I
championship.
can't believe it. I mean, I'm not upset about it. I'm upset that I lost the championship. Or
like Kali and hold it upside down.
But I'm not completely. I mean, they gave it to somebody new, but I've never seen them take somebody who started off as a jobber
Within, it seems like.
and then
this month.
within a month and a half, he's WWE champion. Like, I don't have the words to describe how to feel about it.
I will say, I don't remember when it was. I think it might have been early to mid-August. Me and my sister went down to Lincoln for SmackDown taping, and he wasn't even on the he wasn't even on the show. It was a pre-show. I honestly don't even know if they taped it for like main event or whatever those garbage superstars.
Did you say it was this year?
Yeah, it was like last year,
August.
like mid-August, I believe. And he might have been later than that, but I don't even know if they were taping Superstars or main event. He just came out and had a match with Jack Swagger, and I believe, God, I can't remember who won. I think Jack Swagger beat him. But then he moves over and he's jobbing left and right, and I never expected, if you would have told me that night watching that match that he was going to be the WWE champion within a year, I would have told you to get lost.
Well, I think it's interesting, and sure, it's probably a business move for them to break into India and get that market. But at the same time, this is by far the most stunning and unbelievable and unprecedented turnaround in the history of WWE. I don't think anybody has been that obscure and that big of a jobber and found a way to reach the top and be WWE champion. And I gotta, what?
James Ellsworth came close.
Well, he was never gonna win.
No, I know.
At least they built Jinder as a legitimate threat. Yeah,
but James Ellsworth, he had what, 3 championship matches?
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I just want to say that I want to address some things that people are saying on Twitter. Grow up.
I will say
it's professional wrestling, and I understand, and I'm obviously passionate about it. I obviously care about it. I wouldn't do this show if I didn't, but it doesn't disgrace the WWE Championship.
No,
it doesn't hurt it. Some people are like, "Oh, cool, you just killed the legacy and the importance of this belt." No, they didn't.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, you don't say that you've killed the belt on its, on somebody just winning it. You got to give them a chance to like see what they're going to do as WWE champion.
Because honestly, he could end up having a better reign than Kevin Owens did with the Universal Championship, because that was a pathetic reign. Mm-hmm. But Kevin Owens is a legitimate superstar, but his reign was god awful.
Yeah.
Who says Jinder's not going to have a decent reign, destroying everyone? And I will say real quick, the same people complaining. And I'm not going to say specifically, but I have friends, I have people I know, I have followers on Facebook and whatnot, constantly complaining about how steady and the same the product is, and then they completely do a 180 or 360 and give it to someone like Jinder, and they're complaining, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. That's so stupid." Like, what do people want? I guess I would say I used to be a smart and complain about everything, but now that I'm not as invested in it, I just don't get why everyone's so angry all the time about everything WWE does. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand it. I'm okay with it. I'm upset because that stupid prediction that I expected they wouldn't go through with lost me the championship, and that's the only reason I lost the championship, and that's the only reason I'm upset. But other than that, it's like, okay, let's see what goes on from here.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, okay. Well, what I was going to say, excuse me, my voice is getting all raspy. I think I had too many cigars yesterday.
I had to have a victory one.
Right.
I had hamburgers with my girlfriend and her mom. I totally forgot.
Hey, we had hamburgers. You don't even show. I'm kidding.
I totally forgot. That's what champions do, though. I'm not going to.
But what I was going to say is when me and Jake recorded the podcast where we had difficulty, where it kind of the file got corrupted, I talked about, like, my prediction was Orton, but I talked about how they should give it to Jinder, have their blow off match at Money in the Bank between Jinder and Orton, have Jinder come away with a victory, and then at SummerSlam have Jinder face AJ Styles, the face AJ Styles, and Styles takes it off Jinder.
I would love seeing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even, this just occurred to me right now, here and now. They're pushing Kevin Owens as a new face of America. Maybe he could sometime in the future go face with that and end up beating Mahal as the new face of America, because everyone wants to see America versus the crazy foreigner. Be
the second person who...
and
beat Jinder for it.
And the funny thing is I was kind of the kind of guy that didn't necessarily want that to happen, as I wanted Jinder just to get his chance as a wrestler and as a character and not rely on, screw America, I'm the foreigner that's going to destroy all the things you love. But it works. It works. It gets people over.
I don't see how people hate on that when it works.
It works.
For 30-something plus years, it's worked every time.
Well, here's the thing, but to me, it can kind of come off insulting, because for me, I think it's Vince saying the stereotype that wrestling fans are rednecks and Americans and stupid, and I don't necessarily like that, but it can work, and it works especially for someone who's Indian, because for whatever reason it is in America, we just do not like Middle East, and we just want to hate those kind of characters. And if it wasn't for those London bombings, Muhammad Hassan probably would have got pushed to the moon. Yeah. I mean, he already was built huge. He
was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah. And the thing with Jinder is, I'm happy for Jinder, because this is showing that, some people took in a negative way and said, like, he was the worst part of 3MB. Yeah, he was, because he admits in the Jericho podcast he didn't want to be a part of 3MB. He didn't like being a part of 3MB. He hated it. It was a rough part of his life, and he comes back and does this. And also in that interview, he talks about Vince is invested in Jinder. Vince is actually invested in this angle, because he had a promo that he was going to do one night, and Vince took the promo, rewrote the promo, And Jinder was like, no, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to, talk about this. But he went forward with it anyway because it's Vince. You don't tell Vince. Well, it depends. He seems like a pretty fair guy.
Depending on how high you are up on a card.
Well, if you stick up for yourself and you make a point, he'll listen. And he went with Vince's decision, and he got a better reaction. It was nuclear heat that he got from that, but that says a lot that Vince is invested. Mm-hmm. So if Vince is invested in this, I can be invested in it, and I think Jinder, this is the legitimate first time this whole run right now is really the only time I've ever actually seen him work. Like with 3MB, it was such a comedy act. You never really got to see the guy work.
And the beautiful thing about this is the first heel WWE champion that they've had in years that is actually getting actual heel heat.
Yeah.
Because when AJ Styles, he was...
everyone loves him too much.
Yeah, everybody loved AJ Styles too much. I remember me and you going to Chicago, Healy, and I was freaking out of my seat, you know.
Yep.
Like, AJ Styles is like the first actual heel that I got behind.
Yep, and I will say, regarding the foreigners who hate America getting heat constantly and being the only thing works, what else would you say works in WWE now? Because they try to make these people that we love heel, and by just being rude and obnoxious, but people love it.
I think it's because we've killed kayfabe.
That is true. Yeah. So, and that seems to be the only thing that still works with it when you go back to kayfabe. Because AJ Styles tried to be a rude soccer mom, hating on everyone, calling himself the face that runs the place, and
throwing Shane McMahon through a limousine window,
and everyone loved it. Like they cheered him for it. But so I don't understand. You got to look at everything.
Well, yeah, and it's hard
both sides.
Yeah, because nowadays wrestling fans, they know too much.
They do. They truly do.
And they know too much. And it says, and you're right, Sean, it says a lot about a heel if Jinder got legitimate shocked faces. They've got legitimate upset.
And that's what I want when I watch wrestling.
In a Chicago crowd.
Yeah.
And that's extremely hard to do because they're so smarky. And
especially Chicago.
Yeah. And like, I'm all for it. And, I played it off as joking when we did the predictions that nobody got to hear. I played it off joking, like don't hinder, because it is a joke, the whole hinder the gender joke. I played it off that way, but in my mind I was like, I believe in this. I think it can work. I think Jinder's not a bad wrestler. I think he's a good wrestler, and I don't know. I hope they give him a run. I hope they don't take it off him like Tuesday. Or they take it off of him. I give him a chance.
At least through SummerSlam.
Yes, I would love to see an angle with him through SummerSlam. Orton, do something else with Orton because I'm sick of Orton being in the title picture.
Like he didn't. That reign was nothing. I don't know what did he do after the stupid House of Horror match. What did he do?
Before we move on, I do want to address that.
And that wasn't even a title match. Sorry.
Yeah, that made no sense. And yeah, but before we move on, I want to address the fact that I would like less use of the Bollywood boys with Jinder now. Yeah, they were overused in that Orton match. Well, the first time it worked because hits him. Gets hit with an RKO. Orton goes to pin him. Bollywood boys pull him out of the ring. Good heel move, traditional heel move. I like it. But then they kept constantly getting involved, and I'm like, okay, why isn't the ref throwing him out of ringside?
Like they usually do.
Any other TV match, they would be like, get out of here. But that to me, that was kind of like WWE saying, well, we're not quite sure yet with Jinder. And then Orton does the double DDT from the ropes, turns around, Jinder hits him with his finisher, pins him, wins. Everybody's just like, what? I can't believe this. I picked Jinder, but I really, and I just said at the top, I thought they were going to do it, but I was still shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. They really believe in this guy.
I will say, I think the Bollywood boys got a little lucky. What the hell were they doing in NXT? And then boom, they pull them right up just because they all of a sudden had this idea with Jinder.
How about this? An idea. Have some sort of like an Indian evolution and like have them be tag team champions.
Because Jinder does wear suits. They wear suits. Yeah.
So I think that'd be cool. Give them a run with the tag team titles while Jinder is the WWE champion.
Okay, real quick. What's your predictions? Do you think... I think Jinder's going to hold it through SummerSlam. I think he's going to hold it till SummerSlam. I think he'll probably lose it at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, yeah.
When is SummerSlam? August?
Because then before that is Money in the Bank, so he could possibly lose it then. But I think they'll take it. I might even... you know what? I could honestly see him holding it through a SummerSlam.
That's
tough, isn't it?
You guys both say SummerSlam, but I can see it.
This prediction isn't for anything.
No, I know. I could see it, but at the same, because I think like who else besides Orton, like they always do, put the silly rematch. Always, every time.
Well, yeah, and then maybe I think you have the rematch at Money in the Bank, and then you have use the number one contender for SmackDown, and see maybe it's AJ Styles.
It should be AJ Styles. I mean, especially like if they do like a whole American versus foreigner angle. AJ Styles
nothing better than a country Georgia boy to go against
exactly.
Indian foreigner that everyone wants to hate.
What if you bring in Kevin Owens to join Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood Boys? And you have the U.S. title and the WWE title. Then the Bollywood Boys win the tag titles. And you got these foreigners taking the belts to SummerSlam.
Taking over the WWE.
That'd be awesome.
It would be fun, though.
Yeah.
Mostly because, I don't know why, but WWE fans, man, they're very, very patriotic.
Yeah. And they've been... social media's just been getting on my nerves more and more lately. Watching these fans cry about everything when
It's pro wrestling, man.
Hey, and before you say that, this is the biggest disgrace to any championship, David Arquette, WCW champion.
The Great Khali was world heavyweight champion, and he held the belt upside down. So. Actually, no, he's huge in India. Like, they sell out baseball stadiums in India, and Jinder actually booked for him. So that's what, kept making him money while he was at a WWE. Speaking of foreigners coming in to WWE, Shinsuke Nakamura. he won his debut against Dolph Ziggler.
I actually watched bits and pieces of this match while we were eating. And I
think it was a pretty solid match.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I expected with Ziggler and Shinsuke. I think they're both very good in the ring. There's no doubt about that. Do you think they're still going to have some obstacles getting Shinsuke over with the main roster fans?
Not at all. I mean, he's getting great reactions from the crowds.
Something does feel different though. When I don't know what it is, I feel like honestly when his match just felt held back. It was a decent match. No complaints about it, but it was definitely not what Dolph Ziggler and Shinsuke Nakamura could do going head to head. I don't know. I don't like the artist known as Shinsuke Nakamura. It just doesn't fit, and I feel like he does too many weird things. Like he was awkward and
he did those at NXT, but not as much.
Yeah, now I don't know how to explain it. Just the way he was going about it, I feel like Vince is making him do these silly things to be known as the artist, and I don't like it. But obviously, it wasn't a terrible match and not much to complain about.
I agree with Ollie from Wrestle Talk. If you're gonna make him have a Michael Jackson style gimmick with the jacket and everything, don't use a Prince saying the artist known as, because Prince was the artist formerly known as. That's not a Michael Jackson thing. Make up your mind which 80s pop star you want him to be.
Can he just be Shinsuke Nakamura? That's what I liked about him in NXT. He was the weird.
Yeah, he had the Michael Jackson. He had the Michael Jackson hat and he had the mannerisms, but he wasn't. Yeah, the artist known it. And it goes back to WWE, man. They gotta put some stupid ass title on their guys. The architect, the man, the big dog, the artist. It's like the lunatic fringe. It's like, can they just be Dean Ambrose? Can they just be Shinsuke? I agree 100% with you.
And I don't mind it when...
What are they going to call Jinder? The Indian? I don't know.
The only one it worked on was AJ Styles, but that's because,
Phenomenal one?
Yeah, that one's followed him his whole career.
He's had it his whole career, you know?
And I can understand the very, very tip-top guys having these nicknames, like the Rattlesnake.
Beast Incarnate.
The People's Champ. I don't... Just... When it comes to the artist, what the hell does that mean?
It's just trying to sell a t-shirt.
Yeah, and I just don't get it.
That's exactly what it is. They want to just slap that phrase on a t-shirt so people will buy it.
No.
Other than just having the t-shirt that's cool and works as it is with strong style, I don't know.
There's some people you can slap the nickname on, in my opinion, but there's some people that you just need to let them be them. Shinsuke Nakamura.
This is not the first time we've complained about this on this show. So I think WWE needs to take a lesson and stop putting titles on people. All right.
Titles as in names, by the way.
Give them belts. So I put this in here because this is shocking to me. Sami Zayn won a match, guys.
I'm proud. I love Sami.
So do I. None of us thought he was going to win, though. We all chose Corbin.
Yeah, and our predictions, Sean and I were talking about it, and we were like, I don't think he's going to win because WWE just doesn't care about this guy. They just don't do anything with him. So it's nice to see him win a match.
And the funny thing is,
what about
that,
Baron Corbin? What are they going to do with him?
Right. But no, when we were doing our predictions, Jake, you got every prediction right except for that match. If Corbin would have won, you would have had a clean sweep.
I know.
That is true.
So upsetting.
Real quick, I will make mention. Are we going to talk about NXT Takeover? Anybody catch anything from that?
Oh, that UK Championship
That's the
match.
only thing that
I really want to watch
head.
it.
I didn't even watch anything else.
Sean, when you get the chance, if you love wrestling, watch the UK Championship match.
God,
I know that Pete Dunne is the new UK champion.
It was pure artistry in motion. That
was how you tell a story while people complain
I'm
about
getting goosebumps talking about it.
People
It was
complain
that
about
good.
the flippy dippies, but that's how you tell a story in the ring. Two guys who were willing to just absolutely beat the living hell out of each other.
I don't think Randy Orton liked it.
Oh yeah,
Dive.
I don't care. That told a story. I was invested. I was like, which one of these guys is going to give up first, or which one of these guys is going to make the first mistake? And it was just the way they went about that match. I watched the first match, which was that Eric Young versus oh goodness, who was it?
Oh, I could.
Roderick Strong. It wasn't a terrible match. It was good, but then I watched that UK Championship match and hearing a little nostalgia with JR. That match was just wow.
Also, I love the fact that like NXT is like developmental TNA now, because they've plucked so many TNA guys and put them in NXT.
Enjoy,
which shows you the change in guard. Because the old WWE probably would not give, unless they were, like Booker T or Sting or like WWE guys. They wouldn't give these guys a time of day. And you're seeing Triple H's influence being like, hey, I don't care who they wrestled before. We can really make them work here. And that match,
superstars.
That match was insane.
I can't wait to watch the rest of it. Although I'm sure it won't live up to that match, but
Becky Lynch taps out to the sharpshooter to Natalya, the welcoming committee, which is a weird way. I kind of predicted that Natalya would get. I didn't say that she's going to get the winning fall, but I think that this might be the way to push. I think they're going to push Natalya to the women's championship.
I did hear that this match was a cluster truck.
Oh yeah, it was.
I heard it wasn't the best, and that it was a lot of.
Well, what do you? I mean,
6-man tag.
A lot of people credit the SmackDown women's division for like being the top. It's not. I'm sorry. The Raw women's division is the better of the two.
Charlotte is. It just seemed lately the SmackDown women haven't held my interest.
By the way,
it's before you talk, Jake. The only Raw's always been the better Raw or women's division. I mean, because it's like. All the wrestlers are great in SmackDown. I mean, obviously that's why they brought Bliss over to Raw, and that's why they brought Mickie James over to Raw. But the fact is that almost every pay-per-view, SmackDown has thrown in every single woman in the same match. Yep. Look at WrestleMania, for example. They threw every available SmackDown women's wrestler into a match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and now they're building a story over two teams that involve every woman on the SmackDown roster.
Yep, because I feel like they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Well,
I can't wait till that happens.
Again, the one that we recorded before Backlash that nobody heard. I talked about that, and I said that I was very upset because I just hated the fact that the women's champion was involved in a 6-woman tag match that she didn't defend her title. And I'm not saying that a champion has to defend their title every pay-per-view or what have you, but she was just thrust into this situation that doesn't really make sense. And I said that in the previous thing was I thought the whole welcoming committee thing was a way to get Natty over as a heel, so then you can set up her rivalry with Naomi. But the frustrating thing with that is Natty's a veteran. You don't need to do that. You shouldn't have to do that with Natty. And I didn't think the match was that great. And I've always said that I've never been a fan of 6-man or 6-woman tag matches in a pay-per-view, especially. Like, sure, you can do that when you run out of ideas for a show and you're like, oh, we need to fill some time, throw this together.
Teddy Longing it.
Yeah. Holla.
Yep.
By the way, that shirt that they made for him is actually pretty awesome because holla, 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 fama. No, and I just, it's frustrating. It really is because I don't necessarily think that Raw has the better women's division. I think the only reason you could say that Raw has the better women's division because they took the best thing on SmackDown's women's division and put it on Raw, put her on Raw.
No, the reason why I said that though is because they're building, one-on-one stories with the women's wrestlers. It's not necessarily that the Raw has the better women; it's that they have the better stories for the women's division
right now.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. But
for a while it was just hot potato with Charlotte, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, exactly. And sure, yeah, but what the hell is Sasha Banks doing right now?
I read a dirt sheet that said Vince isn't too high on her because she's injury prone, so they're holding her back for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not the only really, and keep in mind this is what it should be, but the only feud worth talking about is for the Raw Women's Championship, which is not a dock on them. That's what it should be. But yeah, sure. But what's Nia Jax doing? What's the other women doing? But you're right. It's better to. I guess you're right in a way that they build better and they write better stories because it's better to have them not doing anything than just to throw them in something. Mm-hmm. And so you're right on that aspect. So Backlash is over. Had a great time. I thought it was a pretty serviceable pay-per-view. With Payback and Backlash, they're just filler places in between, So
let me just say, how the hell did I go from predicting 9 out of 13 matches at WrestleMania to, predicting like 3 in the last 2?
I think because I like SmackDown more, I think I'm better at predicting SmackDown than I am predicting Raw.
I was pretty good too.
Well, you were good at predicting Raw.
Well, because I won a championship.
Yeah, for the Raw pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, that was ugly. So, yeah, let's talk about Extreme Rules, and that's coming in a couple weeks. We have a pretty good idea of the card right now. The first to talk about is, of course, the Fatal 5-Way for the number 1 contendership for the Universal Championship.
Which I think is great, by the way. I mean, I've never really been too big of a fan of them like throwing a bunch of people into one match, but all the people that they have going into this Fatal 5-Way, excluding one person, and you guys probably know who it is, I think I would love to see face Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire.
I do apologize, I've been slacking on Raw. Who's all in this?
Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe.
Okay. I bet who thinks that Braun Strowman would have been in there if there was no injury?
Braun
Strowman would have been with Reigns. They would have still had that. So, yeah, Reigns would have been.
I'm glad it's over now. It was a good feud, but
and not
over.
only that, they were trying to set up Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, God.
But, I'll tell you.
No, Braun Strowman's actually done pretty well in the ring recently.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of Brock Lesnar. Go on.
But, and I really don't want to see Roman Reigns win this. And I don't think he's going to win this because I know for some reason, they're so high on him and they want to save the Brock Lesnar-Reigns match for, WrestleMania 34. Which means we're probably not going to see much of that Universal Championship.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it is not going to be dropped until next WrestleMania by Brock Lesnar.
No, I don't know because we all didn't think. Even I predicted it. Nobody thought Jinder would win the WWE Championship.
But they seem to just slob all over Brock Lesnar's
knob.
Yes.
Well, but you also got to think Vince is so high on Roman Reigns right now, and he has been since they started his push a couple of years ago. He's, as you've mentioned, he's main evented the last 3 WrestleMania?
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
31, 32, 33. Yep.
Which, by the way, is close to The Rock's. It's not a record, but The Rock has main evented 5 or 6 WrestleManias.
I think Cena main evented more though, didn't he?
I don't know. I'm just
in a row though.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not talking about appearances. I'm talking about just
main events.
Because 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, no, he didn't main event 18. He could have. Everybody should have because of the reaction. I mean, it wasn't a great match, but 19, 28. And 29, so I think that's 7, and he's already at 3, so he's almost halfway there. But I don't know. So who do you think is going to probably win this? This is not your official predictions.
No, it's not.
We can change, before the week of. So
I mean, obviously, we are
what goes on Raw.
we are going to want to see how the build takes place. But I honestly think that they're going to pull the trigger on Finn Balor because Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. I think that'd be an incredible match. You got this small guy who moves in the ring like he tells a story. Every match that he wrestles in. Against the guy who just is bent on destruction, throwing suplex after suplex.
Could you imagine the suplexes he could give Balor? He could probably give him one with one finger, just hook it around Balor's abdomen and just suplex him over his head.
Plus, he could really sell those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Being a little guy. Oh, I can just imagine if Finn Balor got hurt by Seth Rollins, what could happen.
And ever since Brock Lesnar came back, he's faced fairly big men. This will be like the first small guy Brock Lesnar has faced since coming back.
I do believe they'll give Finn Balor his Universal Champion, like his Universal rematch that I guess he rightfully deserves since he lost it.
Deserve it.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
But
the sad thing about it is I don't see Brock Lesnar dropping it at Great Balls of Fire.
Not even close. No.
Swerve ball.
That's my catchphrase, remember?
You made that on accident. You wouldn't even known about it if I didn't point it out. Because you wanted to say curveball and you wanted to say swerve, and then he just combined them mid-sentence. Oh, that'd be a swerve ball. And I go, wait, stop. Did you just say swerve ball? No, I don't know. It's hard to predict right now. So I'm not...
I could also see him doing Seth Rollins, but...
I think they might do Seth Rollins, but... Yeah, I could see Seth Rollins. I think I'm going to go with that. I would say right now, this is early on, I would say probably Seth Rollins.
We'll see tonight.
Mostly because Seth Rollins has not put on a bad match with Brock Lesnar. Those two do find a way to make a good match.
I don't see Joe or Wyatt winning just for the fact that they still got to build them a little bit more.
You got a good point. You made a good point earlier the other time. You're right. Seth Rollins wouldn't win because they're gonna. The whole point of this is to peel off rivalries out of it. So I think Samoa Joe is going to screw over Seth Rollins, and they're going to keep their feud going.
Okay. Yeah.
So I could see Roman doing it too. So I don't know. Not Bray. I don't think Bray has no chance. But no. Roman Reigns
has no chance.
I said this my first time, and I might keep this prediction depending on how Raw plays out. But I think it's going to be. Bray screws Finn. They set up the Bray Wyatt Finn Balor feud that they teased when they brought Bray Wyatt over from the Superstar trade. Well, I don't want to call it shakeup because I think it's stupid. And then you get Roman Reigns getting the #1 contendership for the Universal title. But I don't think he wins. There's got to be some kind of thing. Like if Braun Strowman weren't injured, I would say Braun Strowman would show up, interfere. You
also got to think they say that he's going to be out for 6 months.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to. Because if he weren't injured, I would say that.
But no, he's not. I mean, I believe they've really massaged that number because last I saw that it was 4 to 6 weeks that Braun Strowman will be out. So honestly,
they could still swerve and have him show up. Okay,
exactly. But here's why I agree with you on that. I actually would not mind having Roman Reigns win that match. Just for the fact, if they build their rivalry between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns now, maybe they won't do it for WrestleMania 34. Maybe.
Or they
just blow it off blow it off in SummerSlam, maybe,
Yeah, exactly. Or like have, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar for the threat at SummerSlam.
Or, by the way, don't listen to what I'm saying because I'm booking with logic and I'm building a story.
Who does that?
No, but what you could also do is, because we haven't heard any information about what they're doing with Money in the Bank, what they could do, and I think would be really cool, is if somebody wins the Money in the Bank match, because even though it's a SmackDown pay-per-view, if they win, they should apply this, that you can cash in on Raw or SmackDown.
Like it used to be.
Then you have the Money in the Bank winner pulling what they did at WrestleMania 31. You have somebody who was from SmackDown come in, cash in, beat Lesnar, send them off to Raw with the Universal title, and that way, so that way you don't have Reigns Lesnar for 34. Again, this is way out there, and this would be a cool idea and concept. WWE, give me a goddamn job.
How about this? Matt Hardy wins Money in the Bank. Nah, I know.
Wonderful!
For SmackDown, yes.
I don't know. I think that would be a cool idea. But
I don't
know. I'm just excited to go to St. Louis.
Yeah. Dude, could you imagine I can't because I've never seen a Money in a Bank match.
Me neither. Never seen a ladder match.
But I have. I've seen a cage match, a ladder match, Hell in a Cell, Street fight.
No.
Keep in mind, these were not that great of matches because they were at a WrestleMania.
32, the crappiest WrestleMania. Well, I don't know. It might be tied.
Screw
with
you guys! I
27.
got to experience a WrestleMania. That's the thing. You're
in
just
that
jealous.
giant arena. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or that field, I should say.
Yeah.
Field.
All right, so Ambrose versus Miz for the IC title.
And here's the swerve ball.
Well, I wanted Sean to go off because Sean hates this concept. So,
Oh, I completely hate this concept. So this is Extreme Rules. Now, a few years ago, Extreme Rules pay-per-views used to be every match on the card was under Extreme Rules.
Is this one not?
It gets better. It gets better. It gets
Just
better,
listen.
Travis.
Oh, God.
Or Healy, sorry. So Ambrose versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship in just a regular singles match. But if Dean Ambrose gets disqualified, he loses the Intercontinental Championship.
I wish you could see his face.
What?
Yep.
If he gets disqualified.
At Extreme Rules, mind you.
He can't say it. He's so baffled right now.
Why give him names of pay-per-views and then just throw in these ridiculous concepts?
The only Extreme Rules pay-per-view on that match right now is the Fatal 5-Way.
Because there's no DQ in those matches anyway. So
Where is this being held? Does anyone know where Extreme Rules is being held?
You guys keep talking. I'll look it up.
No, here's the thing about that. I agree with you. And I've said on this show before, I'm not a fan of gimmick pay-per-views. I don't like them, and I don't like the names of them. But like I was telling Sean the other time we recorded this, if you're gonna have a gimmick,
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore.
Okay. Oh, that James Ellsworth's homeland.
If you're gonna have a gimmick, stick to it.
Yep.
And why put this stipulation? First of all, I hate this stipulation because I understand the whole point that it's trying to drive home a story, but I've always hated when they do this because it handcuffs the champion.
Yep.
And and that makes sense because he's the face, Miz is the heel. You want to have that situation where he's got to overcome the odds.
Have another thing like what happened with Christian and Randy Orton.
Yeah, but it's just it's played out. They've done it so many times. And Extreme Rules, do something fun and weird with it,
Especially if it's Dean Ambrose, who you want everyone to think is psychotic and can't be held back.
Even if it's as dumb as an Ambrose, or even if it was dumb as that Asylum match, try something.
That I remember that match. It made me think.
Well, yeah, because you got the tax.
Yeah, and I still remember it. It was so stupid, but it was just so. I remember it.
Still better than House of Horrors.
Yes, I remember it though. That's what counts.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wish they would do something else. We've seen this feud on SmackDown. It's played out. We know what's gonna happen. I'm the one who said we should have seen Miz in a bigger situation. And again, in 2017, you rewind back, 5 years, and I would be like, that's insane. I would never say that. And here I am now. Miz is doing the best work of his career, and I'm pushing for him to be in the Universal title picture because at some point I want something different. And
because isn't that what everyone wants? Is people winning the smaller titles first and then building their way up?
Exactly.
Miz has dominated, it seems, the mid card titles for a while now. So maybe he does need to move up with these guys who haven't won a title but are mixing up in the.
And we always talk about that. We always talk about
top.
And we always talk about workhorse titles, and we want that to happen again. And I think this could be the right direction, maybe, but I don't know. Who else would feud with the Miz?
The Miz.
The Miz after Ambrose.
More mid-carders, I guess, if he wins the title or not.
Well, if he wins the title, they're probably going to keep the feud through Great Balls of Fire.
That's another thing. I feel like feuds just go on forever now.
So, yeah, it's a terrible stipulation. And speaking of terrible stipulations,
Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. A kendo stick on a pole match.
Where have I been? What are these matches?
kendo stick on a pole.
Well, you haven't shown up because you said you're too good for us while you were champion.
I'm still, and that's truth. But maybe I should have, because what on earth is going on? What the hell is a kendo stick on a pole match?
I said the same thing.
Vince Russo would be proud.
Yeah, he would.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead.
Bro.
I'm just go ahead and say this, how I feel about pole matches.
What is it?
You reach up on the pole, you get the kendo stick, and you beat her with it? I don't know how this works. How is this a championship match?
Well, let me read the background of this. Let's see.
Please do.
All right, so let's see. At Payback, Alexa Bliss defeated Bayley to win her first Raw Women's Championship. By the way, I'm reading this off Wikipedia. Sorry. As well as becoming the first woman to win both Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. The following night on Raw, Bliss had a coronation for both of her accomplishments. The other 7 women wrestlers on the Raw roster were also in the ring, and she insulted Mickie James, Sasha Banks, and Bayley before a brawl broke out that resulted in an 8-woman tag match. I'm going to skip ahead. The following week, Bliss aligned with Jax, defeating James after the match. Bliss continued to attack James. Bayley came out and saved and chased Bliss backstage. Jax attacked James. On the May 15th episode, Bayley confronted Bliss and invoking her championship rematch at Extreme Rules. A brawl ensued, and Bliss found a kendo stick under the ring and attacked Bayley with it. Later, their Raw Women's Championship match at Extreme Rules was made a kendo stick on a pole match.
There's nothing saying what the hell that is.
Nope.
Because that just sounds... maybe we'll find out tonight. I'm going to try to keep a little...
Let me explain something to our listeners here. This is what I like to call a Jake's Take, and
here we go.
This is what I used to do on my other podcast. So here's my take on this. Pole matches should not exist. The only time a pole should be used is for a stripper. And pole matches, I think, it is the laziest, dumbest, most idiotic gimmick to put to a match.
What is a pole match? Like, maybe I'm
you literally climb a pole to grab something off of the pole, and then depending on the match,
it's basically a shorter ladder match.
Yeah, it's a ladder match, but instead of a ladder, it's a stupid pole. And it makes no sense to put a kendo stick up there. I understand the whole story behind the kendo stick. First of all, the kendo stick is the dumbest, lamest. I hate that weapon. It's useless. Useless weapon in WWE. Well, I'm sure it hurts, but it's not as imposing as a chair or a sledgehammer or a bat. But the point is, if you're going to put anything up on that pole, put the freaking championship up there. Why are they fighting over a kendo stick on the pole?
Or make the very first ever women's championship ladder match.
We talked about that, last time. Make it a ladder match. Make it a women's ladder match. We've had the Hell in a Cell match. Do we have a cage match yet?
Yes.
We've had the women's cage match.
Tables.
Oh, yeah, we did it. SmackDown. It was Alexa Bliss and...
tables.
Yep. And
Becky Lynch. Yes, tables. Do a ladder match.
Even though the tables was
because a ladder match, you can have so many more spots and fun with a ladder match. Mm-hmm. I'm telling him about it last time. Imagine Alexa Bliss taking the macho elbow from Bayley off a ladder.
That... Or, Alexa Bliss's finisher, the one she does where she just like flips up in midair. Imagine her doing that stuff off of a ladder.
Off a ladder.
Oh.
But no, we need a pole.
Oh.
Maybe they're holding off the ladder match until summer.
I'm done.
The only time a pole is acceptable is if it's a Viagra on a pole match or a Judy Bagwell on a pole match.
Or if it's at a strip club. That's the only time a pole
I'm just kidding about that. Those were awful matches in WCW, but I just freaking love the Judy Bagwell on a pole.
Yeah, by the way, WWE, what killed WCW other than their poor management? Too many on a pole matches. Vinny Russo would be so proud. Oh, it's idiotic.
Yeah, I still remember.
And you're taking a decent feud and you're I did it last time.
Regulating?
Regulating. That's the word I was looking for. I did this last time. I stuttered over it. That word is impossible. You're taking a really good feud and you're lowering the bar. There we go, Jake. Try something different. Lowering the bar to this. It's a good, decent feud, and you're putting a really, really stupid gimmick on it. And I hate it. I think it's silly. I don't know.
It is very silly.
It's like they ran out of ideas, so let's just put things on poles.
Especially because, I don't know, when these women were in NXT, they were completely badass. I mean, Bayley, she was a complete badass. Now she's this freaking woman who just likes to pout when she loses her championship.
Now that you go back to this, when they get to the main roster, they shove the gimmick. They try to make the gimmick stand out. Instead, in NXT, they had their gimmicks, but the person behind the gimmick stood out and did what they could. But then they get up to the main roster. Now that I think of it, the gimmick just overtakes it. Now Bayley's this fun-loving, practically 5-year-old stuck in a 28-year-old, 30-year-old body up in the main roster. If you've noticed that, she's a crybaby, and I loved her down in NXT. She was a fun, friendly, many people, this is quotation air marks, John Cena of NXT, but she was fun, she was good, she was a badass, and I just feel like too many now that I think of it, too many gimmicks in WWE overcome the character.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever happened to, like, somebody, they had their gimmick outside the ring on the mic and whatnot, but then when they got in the ring, they just kicked ass.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, and I don't think Bayley works that well in the main roster right now. And
right now, I have noticed she is struggling. Something is not right.
Yeah,
which is a shame because I freaking love Bayley. She's my Alexa Bliss is your WWE crush. Bayley's mine.
She used to be mine until I realized what Alexa Bliss was, but I kind of
you like the crazy ones.
Yeah. Sorry, Tiana.
It's okay. We all have celebrity crushes. I'm sure she's into like somebody.
Well, I'm sure, but he said I like the crazy ones, and I said
yeah. No, I didn't really mean that.
But
I'm not here to have this couples counseling on our show. No, yeah.
Going onward.
I was like, we got to get out of this joke.
I just feel. I don't even know how to explain it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, well, let's move on. The other match that was made for there's actually 2 more matches made for the Extreme Rules card.
We don't know the stipulations as of recording this on May.
How could it get any worse?
Yeah. Well, as of May 22nd, we don't know the stipulations yet.
But we got the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro and Sheamus for the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Is it again?
It's as of right now, it's just a normal match.
Didn't that already occur?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, but now Sheamus and Cesaro full blown heels now, aren't they?
That's true.
Yeah, okay.
Which isn't bad. I'm really enjoying this feud between the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro because
again the foreigners.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like, this is the most invested I think that I've been, and I think a lot of other people have been in Sheamus. Since he came up to the main roster to ECW,
in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's playing a legitimate badass. They're not using, him as like this gimmicky haha guy, and they're not using him,
I will make mention he probably has one of the top 5 of my favorite entrances in WWE right now.
I love Sheamus and Cesaro's.
His walk, I don't know. He has that badass walk. Yeah. I don't know. It's just too funny.
I don't know. It's just like Sheamus and Cesaro. I mean, I know this wasn't completely Mick Foley's idea because that was just like an on-screen thing. But
yep.
Yeah.
But he was right. You put 2 people together, who've had no prior chemistry, and sometimes it could really pay off. And
especially when you have 7 straight matches,
right? I mean, Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's interesting, and something that I've never been behind with Cesaro and Sheamus and their best of 7 series, and then they turn it into a tag team, which again I still wasn't behind because I'm a huge Cesaro.
I wasn't behind it at first either.
I'm a huge Cesaro fan, and I want him to have a singles career and be pushed as a legitimate star because I think he is, and I think he's proven that he can be. He got swinging people around in a circle over. But I think that Sheamus and Cesaro definitely have won me over through time. I think their chemistry is phenomenal. And I think somehow, and I've never thought Sheamus was a bad worker. I've always thought Sheamus was a good worker. They just didn't. You guys said they just put him in the weird positions. They didn't use the right gimmicks for him, like that 1-800-fella nonsense. And like
that was great.
It was terrible, and. Yeah, and he just didn't work as a super bad guy. I think it's weird to say this, but like this level of heel works for him, if that makes any sense at all.
It's because he's an actual heel.
Well, yeah, but when he was a heel, he started as a heel, but he was just this big guy. He didn't really talk.
He just bro kicked everybody.
Yeah, he just hurt people. That's all it was. And, that could work for like a guy like Braun Strowman.
He ended Jamie Noble's career, remember that?
That could work for a guy like Braun Strowman, but not necessarily for Sheamus. And I think they worked really well together. Also, yeah, their entrance is one of the coolest entrances a tag team can have because I like how, for whatever reasons, when Cesaro came back, he had this idea to be like, I'm doing like a James Bond gimmick.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah.
But
the entrance is cool because it has like the little James Bond thing and then he rips off his... It's awesome.
What's with the tape still? I thought that was just some, like, he's had that Excuse me.
I think maybe he had some condition with his shoulder. Where
That
he
zebra
wears
tape. He's
it.
had it for like he's been back for like a year now, hasn't he? He's still wearing that.
Maybe it's just a precaution. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, and I always thought that this was a weird pairing, but it works, and I like the rivalry with the Hardys. Unfortunately, I don't know. I just think like this could.
Aren't you guys kind of getting a flat feeling from the Hardys now? Now that like the nostalgia is starting to wear off.
Well, they're stuck in a situation where
they're in limbo right now.
Yeah, because they're still trying to get back the broken gimmick, and they're trying to play that up, and people still want it. And yes, they're subtly teasing it here and there that they're getting it back, and I'm okay with. You're right. It's the nostalgia's running a little thin. But that's the thing. They're using Sheamus and Cesaro in a good way. It's keeping them fresh still.
It is.
And then, but what do you really expect in the state of WWE's tag teams? There's not many guys that can put on ultimate feuds with and make you absolutely love them.
Well, that's why I think it's a good pairing to have Sheamus and Cesaro do it, because you have those two being very good workers are able to get the Hardys over, I guess, even though they don't need to get over. But I think their talent allows you to not worry about the nostalgia factor of it wearing off. You're still invested, and they all four of them I think have really good chemistry in the ring.
Oh yeah, they're incredible.
The question is,
When Jeff's tooth got
what
knocked out,
do we do from here? What happens from here? Whether Cesaro and Sheamus win or not, or vice versa with the Hardys, Raw needs to build up their tag team division, because these are the only two teams that people. I mean, Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, I feel like they haven't had a proper feud with Gallows and Anderson.
Gallows
yet.
and Anderson, I don't know what they do with them, because they're so good and they're talented, and they're a comedy act for a couple weeks with New Day, and then they're serious again,
And then they're a comedy
Then they
act.
get their title stripped, and now they're a comedy act again. I don't know. It's just I feel like you got to do something, and if you keep the belts on the Hardys, then yes, you go with Gallows and Anderson. But then what do you do with Cesaro and Sheamus?
Have a feud with Enzo Cass, I guess.
What do you think the stipulation would be if they announce a stipulation, say tonight or in a
I'd
couple
just
weeks?
say just a tag
Don't
team.
do a ladder match, because
No.
that's too overblown.
No, tag team Extreme Rules match. That's all you need.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These four guys.
Or a cage match or something stupid like that.
Yeah, but moving on. I mean, I do want to talk about one thing that happened last Monday on Raw, and this is probably gonna do the. This is probably gonna become the kickoff show match. But I think, what do you guys think about Goldust turning off?
Oh yeah,
R-Truth.
I
Forgot about that.
I could care less.
It's kind of cool, but at the same, like, they've been a thing for how long now, and they've been on TV like twice. No one really cares about the Golden Truth.
Well, and like I was talking to him before, like I was talking to Sean about this before, was you can't really build a good feud out of this, because nobody's going to take R-Truth seriously, because
he's never
ever
been
since
taken
that,
seriously.
after that match with John Cena at Capital Punishment, which was like 6 years ago.
Yes.
he has
Yep.
been a comedy act ever since in
Yep.
WWE, and it's hard to build a legitimate feud
I
with
remember
two comedy characters,
when
unless you just make it gimmicky and stupid and over the top.
I remember I started watching again when I was younger, about 2009, and R-Truth like captivated me for some reason with this stupid rapping entrance and him in the ring, and then like I come back and he's nothing but a full blown comedy act, and I was like, huh, how times have changed.
Right. It's like, I remember actually when they were building them up in the main event, they came here to Omaha. And I remember this is around before Little Jimmy became an imaginary friend, he was calling, all the kids Little Jimmys and stuff like that. And then like he got up in this one kid's face and like in his dad's face and like ended up throwing water on him. And so it was just great,
Also, by the way, when you say calling all the kids Little Jimmys,
Yeah.
I thought of the other guys, and he's like talking about he's a pimp, and he's saying all of his hoes need to be wearing
yeah.
Jimmys. That's what I thought in my head. But I told Sean this. Here's what you do: you bring back Little Jimmy. He interferes. He beats up Goldust.
So like Goldust is just like getting beat up by nothing.
Just keep flopping around like some kids beating him up.
Well, like Little Jimmy got older. So
You know
now-
what though? If you do that with this feud, that's how you sell me. Because I would be invested invested.
If you want to make two guys with who are gimmicky as hell and
just
have
make
them go
it
at each
stupid,
other.
make it
full blown gimmicky.
Yeah, make it bonkers. I don't care. Go crazy with it.
It's Extreme Rules.
and it's just the pre-show, so
There's
who
no
cares?
interference.
Yeah, it's Extreme Rules, little Jimmy. What are you doing? I'm telling you, little Jimmy's coming back. It's happening. Extreme Rules.
Well, the last match that has been announced on the card so far is Neville versus Austin Aries for the Cruiserweight title. Again, regular match.
We don't know the stipulation yet. If there will be one.
Poor cruiserweights.
Aries is gonna win it this time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Aries and Neville, they've been carrying the cruiserweight division on their backs, and they're the only things that is keeping me invested now.
What do you think about throwing in TJP into this involving
As a
him?
bad guy, it's not bad. He's mostly there for the heartthrob because if you have him on Instagram, the girls are just ridiculous with
Melting
this
in
dude.
his fingers.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
And now that he's a bad guy, I still love TJP. Like you see it on his comments. It's just barf inducing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's great.
I don't know if I talked about this, but speaking of TJP, did you ever notice that on Raw, TJP was getting his name called by the announcers?
Yeah, I guess they're changing it
over
to
and
TJP now that he's a bad guy or something.
Well, yeah, and I was looking at the YouTube video of it, and like the minute preview of the match they said TJP probably about 15 times in that minute.
How much you
really
How much you might bet that was Vince in there like, we gotta say TJP. That makes him more edgy and it's easier to say. Yeah, I think it's cool and a nice way to bring him back into the fold and make him a part of the
he's
title
the first
picture.
cruiserweight champion,
And it's nice to bring him back into the title picture that way. And I think it's serviceable because he was floundering around doing nothing. Now they give him a little bit of something to do. So.
Unlike the other cruiserweights.
I don't know. Maybe the stipulation. Maybe I'm just into the idea of ladder matches, but I think with cruiserweights, with a ladder match, there could be a lot of possibilities. I know. Again, Randy Orton probably wouldn't want to watch this match. So, can we talk about that?
Dive.
Can we talk about the Randy Orton Twitter beef?
We got some time. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna Google that real quick to find all the tweets.
Mostly he just, I feel like, nonchalantly or not completely
Well, he's not the one who started it.
Distaste for flippy dippy wrestling.
I mean, some of it is.
No, I know that guy who did start it. He's, I guess, like a mastermind of wrestling or whatnot. And one night, like at 3 a.m, I was bored and I went through his Twitter. One of the greatest things I've ever just read about wrestling, and this dude knew what he was talking about.
Well, I mean, I'm going to read the whole thing, what Randy Orton said. And again, I feel like it's somewhat of his...
That's the tweet of the original guy that I was just telling you about that I went through his Twitter, and he's the one who originally said something, and then Randy replied. And
go ahead and read the original
Okay,
message.
so the original thing says, every indie match now, handshake, drawn out, move exchange, this is awesome chant, strike exchange, dive, no sell, indie strong style, dive, more strikes, no sells, dive, flippy floppy sequence, dive, hit everyone with each other's finisher, then Humpty Dumpty, we all fall down, fight forever chant, rinse and repeat until every move is useless and means nothing. Dive, take unsafe shot that looks like shit and hurts like hell, then roll up finish. Handshake and hug after match. Everyone's hands raised. All these guys chant. Go home and type on social media thanking your opponents in the company for the match and telling others you should book these guys. Dive.
By the way, have you either have been to an indie match lately in Omaha area?
I want to.
He's not wrong.
No, I'm telling. Yeah,
He's not wrong.
Yeah, it's very confounding because I've watched ROH matches because they occasionally have them on TV. They have them on local TV every now and then, and I've told Sean about this. Like, I want to like into wrestling, but it's not lit properly. It's dark, and I want some production value in my wrestling.
Yep, and when you go to the indie shows, they got the big name there. They'll have a few big names.
Yeah.
And the one I went to was called Now This Is Wrestling, which Vince Russo actually started. And then I think he just completely blew them off. And they were struggling for a while to come back.
You should watch his, go to his YouTube channel because some of his, actually does have some good opinions.
Yeah.
But then it gets clouded with stupid Vinny Russo.
But anyway, it's not terrible and it keeps you captivated, but he's not wrong.
It doesn't stop there though, because Bubba Ray Dudley, he's working a indie show, shows a picture of him jumping off the top rope, says dive. Then Randy Orton, decides to respond to that. And he goes, LOL, there's a difference between young, hungry talent diving and an old, out of shape, air quotes, vet falling. And then
Randy Orton's just a prick.
Yeah, it's fun. I love how
I love him.
I love how he's a face on TV and he's such a douche on Twitter. So then Bubba Ray Dudley responds to Randy Orton, says, Dear Randy Orton, my tweet has zero to do with you. Looks like you were wrong again. You're still awesome. Thumbs up. Falling greater than House of Horrors, which was funny because that was a good jab.
He's not wrong.
That was a good jab. I liked it. And then Randy Orton responds, and he said with his apology, if you will, but it's not really an apology. Sorry to the indie marks, indie guys and old timers who do dives. Took offense. Just having a good time over a few drinks in Denmark, closing the SmackDown Live tour while beating Raw and making over $5 million in the last 11 shows. Now I know to some that doesn't equate to a standing room only crowd of 150 people paying $8 in an armory somewhere, but in the big boy world, that's called putting asses in seats. So enjoy your flips, dives, and 20 super kicks per match. To each their own. I would go, quotes, dive back into my 13th title run and get ready to, quote, flip when my bank statement comes this month. Headlock.
I love that because he's not champion anymore.
Yep.
Randy Orton, my friends. I give him a clap because, again, these are all fair assessments.
Yes.
Because they're all seen this way. And I think it's funny to have these guys have these Twitter beefs, and Randy Orton is a bit of a douchebag, but he's always been that way.
Yes.
That's always been what he's been doing. And he's got a point. He's like, I'm out here still at this age, this old in the business. He's still, selling out, helping sell out places and still being a champion and putting asses in seats. So I think he's confounded. Bubba Ray, by the way, I think he got dealt a crappy hand with the comeback to WWE most recently, but
Yeah, he did.
at what point did these guys retire and stop doing indie shows? But what do you think, Sean? Do you think it was just good fun? Do you think?
I think it was all good fun. I mean, I think back in the day, Orton and Bubba had some sort of beef, but I do think it's like all in good fun and.
Goldust responded with a really funny picture on Twitter with him with his glasses on and says, me watching Randy Orton's Twitter feed and just like reading him like, oh, yeah, that's interesting.
With the face paint and all.
Yeah, he's still got his face paint in the locker
He's a
room.
weirdo.
But yeah. I don't know. I think Randy Orton's fine. I think it's just a funny thing to talk about because some guy is already selling a shirt that has like ... dive.
Will Ospreay did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that shirt because I think that's hilarious. No, I just think it was funny to talk about because Randy Orton as a face on TV still is a total jerk on Twitter, which is hilarious. But
Kayfabe.
and indie guys can get mad that they're not getting a spot in WWE and be like, there's something about being an indie crowd, and I'm sure that some guys may feel that way. And indie wrestling isn't awful; you get the best superstars out of it. But
Yes, you do.
to just realize that you guys aren't. WWE is the cream of the crop. And
I mean, everybody in wrestling's goal. It isn't to like, I just want to wrestle a few indie matches while working my desk job in the day. No, your goal is to try to get to the big time, get to Ring of Honor, go to New Japan, go to Impact Wrestling, then eventually get to the WWE.
And some guys, if you want to do that, that's fine. Just don't get involved with a beef with professional wrestlers. So yeah, I think that was good to talk about. I think it's about time to wrap it up. The champ has got to make some appearances, and kiss some babies, and sign some boobs. The typical thing.
What I did for 22 days.
Well,
You kiss some babies?
No, I signed some
me
boobies.
and Jake have held it now, or have both held it for 28 days. Him holding it now longer because
29.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I'm gonna Photoshop something that says 28 days later.
Nope.
Still champ.
I got an unfair hand in that one, so my reign was only 22 days.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I used common sense.
I'm sorry I won originally at Fastlane and got an extra month off for the championship.
I will say that I'm not too disheartened because I leave with my pride knowing I chose common sense over crappy booking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you. The gold is so loud.
Shining too bright.
All right. Well, for the champion, the Lumberjake, for Healy, I am Crawdaddy, and we will see you next time on Get Slammed.
If you mess with the Lumberjake, you're bound to get cut down.
And please don't ever do my bye-byes for me, Crawdaddy. I'm Healy. This was Get Slammed Wrestling.